And away she goes, the wrong way on the new Eglinton Avenue bike lanes. And this is the Midtown intersection of Yonge and Eglinton. And hello there, it is Thursday, May 30th. 1:48 p.m. is the time, and the temperature is around 18 degrees Celsius. And that's a view to the west along Eglinton Avenue West, which was recently voted by CAA members as the worst street in the city of Toronto in terms of the road conditions and traffic. And there's a look at Eglinton Station. That's the Crosstown LRT entrance. And for this one, I'm going to be hopping on the e-scooter and going for a ride along some of these newly open bike lanes, but you'll see that it's really more of a mirage than anything, as they're only completed in the major intersections where there's an LRT station. So if you've seen them and have been curious as to what their status is, or wondered why not too many people are using them, well, the reason for that is it is not a completed bike network as of yet. And I'll talk a little bit about that along the way, but let's hop onto the e-scooter here. That's the Segway 9 Max. I am preparing a video on the new GoTrax GX2, and you can look for that in the coming weeks on the channel, but let's get riding here. And away we go. So this is west on the north side of Eglinton Avenue West. And there's some never-ending LRT construction work going on over there. That's a project 15 years or so in the making. It was supposed to open several years ago. And the original idea was to include these bike lanes along with when the project opened. And Metrolinx, the transit agency tasked with building the Crosstown LRT, was responsible for the bike lanes in front of the stations and around the major intersections at the stations, and then the city of Toronto would step in and complete the rest of the bike network once the LRT is open. But the problem is the LRT has not yet opened. And I anticipate this is going to be a problem in this area. These bike lanes are very narrow. They are protected, which is good. Curb protected from traffic and elevated. But if you compare them to the new protected lanes on Wellington or College Street or Bloor, you will notice they are very narrow, which means passing isn't going to be great. But they do not appear on the City of Toronto's official bike network map on their website, nor do they appear on Google Maps when you click Show Me the Bike Routes. I think east of Don Mills, along the surface portion of the Crosstown LRT, they are completed and will show up on those maps. And west of Black Creek, well to the west of here, there are bike lanes that are continuous along Eglinton. Well, a combination of bike lanes and a multi-use trail. But this stretch here feels pretty much complete. This is Avenue Road I'm approaching. So I'm just going to go west a bit, and then we'll loop back and we'll try them on the other side of the road. There's a bus parked in the bike lanes. There's a bunch of Crosstown LRT workers right in front of the Avenue Station. As my scooter struggles to get some momentum. But look at this. Goodbye bike lane. So I think some people might see them at Yonge and Eglinton and falsely assume there's now bike lanes along the street, but they would assume incorrectly as we go over a number of potholes. This is one of the reasons why this street was voted the worst in the city. I think the only street that got more votes in all the province is in Hamilton. But the state of bike infrastructure has been improving, and the pandemic was a nice catalyst for that, but there's still a ton of work to do. I wouldn't blame you for wanting to choose an alternate route than going along this stretch of Eglinton here. But the plan is to turn this into a complete street. And that's to improve conditions for everybody. Wider sidewalks, protected bike lanes, better patio accommodation, and I believe it or not, more parking. We're at Headington. When all is said and done, I think there'll be 19 kilometers of continuous bike lanes along Eglinton. There's a Cafe Teal patio installation. And coming up is the Chaplin LRT station, or will be. And like magic, the bike lanes appear. So I guess the city of Toronto, if and when the Crosstown ever does open, they'll be probably building out the rest of the bike lanes in this style, which is a bit unfortunate, as these are, as I mentioned, rather narrow. And just like that, they are non-existent. I am trying something new with the audio setup here. I'm recording this one in stereo with the Rode Wireless Pro. I have both the left and right receivers. I've never done this before. So I also have a mono recording going on as a backup if that doesn't work out. If I remember to, I'll put some text below letting you know which one I went with. But if it is the stereo recording, you should be able to hear it in the left and right channels being slightly different. Trying to stick as far over to the right as I can. When vehicles pass, they should be leaving a full meter. And we're approaching Bathurst Street. This is the Forest Hill neighborhood. Well, bad luck for this car. It wants to turn right. It just worker is closing off the street. Old Forest Hill Road is getting resurfaced. And I think that's just it. When the LRT is finally completed, the city will be resurfacing the road. And that would be kind of a good time to connect the rest of the bike lanes and complete the complete street aspect. And this is Bathurst Street, and here is Forest Hill Station. Where we'll have once again a temporary bike lane to ride in. Metrolinx's land use is definitely something worthy of criticism. They eat up giant chunks of land for what are effectively underground streetcar stations. And that's a video I've been meaning to do. Highlight the land use along the Crosstown LRT, because it could certainly be a whole lot better. I was reading an article earlier stating that there's still hundreds of problems with the LRT, and that's why it can't open. That guy was just yelling at me for something. And look at this. I think that Honda just might have been, or the driver just letting me know they were there. It's a very sudden merge into traffic. Super careful through here. So what I'll do is I'll turn around when we get to Eglinton West Station, which has been, or being renamed to Cedarvale. And there's usually a bottleneck just up ahead here where the Allen Road meets Eglinton. And I remember several years ago, Eglinton East was voted the worst road in the city by CAA. The Allen Road just up ahead. One of the advantages of an e-scooter, you can just turn yourself into a pedestrian at a moment's notice. Well, you can on a bike, but it's a little bit more annoying to hop off. This is fun. This is a right turn lane, but I want to go straight, but I think the bike lanes will appear in a moment as we're right around the station. There they are. There's some more fabulous land use. What housing crisis? Let's build multiple entrances to the same station all around an already huge station. There's a dedicated cycling light here installed. That's nice. And it's operational. So straight ahead is the Little Jamaica neighborhood. This is where I'm going to turn around. And we'll make our way back towards Yonge Street and see how things are like on the south side of the street. As traffic slowly comes off the Allen, I was going to say Allen Expressway, but it's the Allen Road. The YouTube channel Flurf Design recently did an excellent video on Allen Road and how it was originally to be the Spadina Expressway, cutting south through the city, ripping up a number of prominent neighborhoods. No dedicated bike lanes here, so we're just going to go with the traffic signal. As you can see, in a block up ahead, the bike lanes disappear once again. It does that off and on all the way over to the end of the Crosstown LRT line. Wouldn't be Toronto if people weren't blocking the intersection. But now it is east on Eglinton Avenue West. So let me know down in the comments if you'd be comfortable riding along Eglinton. I would say I would prefer an alternate route rather than taking this every day until the bike lanes are completed. It's quite congested. And there's no doubt going to be an uncomfortable amount of close calls with traffic. One thing you can't see with this camera angle is I am constantly looking over my shoulder. And here you have to anticipate doors popping open. And the potential hazards are just far less when you're in a protected bike lane. Looks like we'll have a utility truck to deal with just up ahead here. I'm riding straight into a pretty good wind right now. Some people do confuse the bike lanes for a sidewalk or a bus stop. And yes, technically e-scooters are still banned on public roads in Toronto. City Council had a chance to rectify that earlier this month, but they voted to once again not opt into the province's pilot project. But you'll notice an ever increasing amount of e-scooters, and it only makes sense. The city's aggressively building its bike network, and more people are turning to micro-mobility. The popularity of the bike share network continues to explode. And these are a form of affordable micro-mobility. And really the concerns against e-scooters are, to be frank, ridiculous. They all apply to bikes and e-bikes all the same. And the city is looking for the province to implement better regulations and licensing and insurance for e-scooters. But if you want that for e-scooters, why not e-bikes? It makes no sense. And there's concerns that e-bikes will be littered on the sidewalks and create accessibility issues. Well, that's obviously not the case. If you're going to allow shared e-scooters, I think the solution is quite simple. Just have them plug into the docking system that bike share uses. Expand those docks, or don't allow any e-scooter rental or share companies to operate on the model where people just leave their e-scooter wherever, which is something you will see in other cities, and I do agree that can pose issues. But it's certainly not a reason to hold individuals from privately using e-scooters and owning them. But fortunately, the police look the other way. In fact, I even know of a few police officers who ride e-scooters to work. I think it'd be pretty cool if parking enforcement were issued them as well. It would make doing their rounds easier, less of a hassle than getting on and off a bike. And they're a little more maneuverable. That's an argument for another day, I guess. What is this truck doing? waiting for this SUV. Really, the conditions on this side of Eglinton are pretty much the same as on the north side. And from what I've heard, in 2025, the city will be extending the Midtown bike lanes north of Davisville up to Yonge and Eglinton, and possibly north of that. So if that connection is completed, along with work on this Eglinton bike lanes, or these, that'll definitely expand the potential routes for people that are looking to ride in protected bike lanes. And it'll make things much safer for delivery drivers, for Uber and that sort of thing. And help keep them off the sidewalks where they absolutely should not be riding. There's Yonge and Eglinton just up ahead. I will say this stretch between Yonge and Avenue is quite usable. More people. There's a language school over there, and there's always people just hanging out in the new bike lanes. This is Duplex Avenue. That's not fun. I don't really want to jump off a curb. on the e-scooter. Once again, it's Yonge and Eglinton. Maybe I'll just ride over to Redpath. Just like that, bike lanes disappear. They'll reappear just east of here around Mount Pleasant. I think they voted for the wrong Eglinton to be the worst Eglinton East here. It is in atrocious condition. Oh my. And this is north on Redpath. Where the construction never ends. I'm going to go left onto Broadway here. Which is a one-way street. And this will loop us back towards Yonge. we're not going to get that far. This is North Toronto Collegiate. And it's the end of the line for this one. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, particularly regarding those Eglinton bike lanes. There we go. Got my camera in the mount here, so it's a little harder to operate. But if you wish to support what I do on YouTube, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, thank you for watching. Oh yeah, and hopefully the stereo audio experiment worked out. If not, then I'll have to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. Anyways, thank you for watching. Yoink.